At the end of the topic, you will be able to define excretion, discuss the functional unit of kidney, explain the working mechanism of kidneys in the human body.
I. The photoreceptors. All of you must be aware of the importance of your eyes. Do you all know that on an average, a person blinks 12 times in a minute, or approximately 18,000 times a day? Our eyes can process 36,000 bits of information per hour. The eyes contribute to 85% of our total knowledge. Although we can function without sight, we rely heavily on vision to live our everyday lives. Only 1/6 of the eyes are exposed to the outside world. More complex and larger part of the eyes are situated in the hollow of the skull, called as eye sockets. The eye is also protected by eyebrows, eyelashes, and eyelids, protective layers, and glands. Eye is an almost spherical organ having 3 protective layers. Let us know more about these layers. Sclera is the outermost layer covering the eye. It is tough and fibrous. Sclera forms a transparent structure called as cornea. Cornea allows light to pass through it. Choroid is the middle layer of eye. It has a large number of blood vessels. These blood vessels carry blood to and from the eye. The retina is the innermost layer of the eye. It is said to be the sensory region of the eye, as it detects the light and transforms light energy into nerve impulses. These nerve impulses send the received information to the brain. The action of the iris can be compared to the diaphragm of a camera. Iris is present behind the cornea. It is a circular diaphragm-like structure with a central aperture called pupil. The pupil allows light to enter the inner chambers of the eye. The size of the iris and pupil are adjustable to the intensity of light. When in dark, the pupil expands and the aperture becomes larger. This allows maximum amount of light to pass through the pupil. When the light is bright, the pupil contracts and the aperture becomes smaller in size, so that lesser light passes through the pupil. The lacrimal glands, tear glands, are located above each eyeball. They continuously supply watery, salty liquid called tear, which is wiped across the surface of the eye each time we blink. Excess tears drain through the tear ducts into the nose. Lens is present behind the iris. It is transparent and focuses light on the retina. It is held in position by the ciliary muscles. Contraction and relaxation of the ciliary muscle brings change in the size, diameter, and focusing of the lens. Chambers in the eyes. A small aqueous chamber is present in front of the lens, and it is filled with a watery jelly called aqueous humor. Vitreous chamber is the inner chamber and also the main chamber of the eye, extending from behind the lens to the retina. It is filled with dense jelly-like material called vitreous humor. This helps in maintaining eye shape. Retina. Retina is the actual sensory part of the eye. It contains 2 types of tightly packed photoreceptor cells called rods and cones. The rods are more numerous, approximately about 120 million, and are sensitive to low light but not sensitive to color. This is the reason why at night all objects appear in different shades of gray. Rods have a pigment called rhodopsin or visual purple, which helps in detecting the light. Vitamin A is important for the formation of rhodopsin. Deficiency of vitamin A leads to the development of night blindness. Cones are fewer in number, approximately about 6 to 7 million. They are color sensitive and perform only in bright light and are fairly insensitive under low light conditions. They have 3 different pigments in them. In the middle of the retina is a small dimple called the fovea or fovea centralis. It is devoid of rods. It is the center of the eye's sharpest vision and the location of the most color perception. When light strikes either the rods or the cones of the retina, it is converted into an electric signal that is relayed to the brain via the optic nerve. The brain then translates the electrical signals into the images that we see.
The metabolic waste produced by the living cells in the human body must be eliminated from the body. If the wastes aren't removed or eliminated, it leads to death. Excretion is the process of removal of metabolic waste from the body of an organism. Metabolic wastes that are removed include carbon dioxide, salt, urea, uric acid, and water. All the excreted waste travel through the blood at the same time. There are 4 vital organs that are involved in the elimination of metabolic waste from the human body. They are the lungs, kidneys, liver, and skin. They constitute the excretory system. The excretory system functions to remove waste from the human body. The main organ that is involved in the excretion process is the kidney. This organ has specialized structures and capillary networks that assist in the excretory process. The functional unit of kidney is the nephron. The excretory activity of the kidney is modulated by specialized hormones that regulate the amount of absorption within the nephron. The kidneys are bean-shaped organs. They are dark red in color. They are located on either side of the backbone at about the level of the stomach and liver. The outer surface of each kidney is convex or bulged, and the inner surface is concave. There is a depression on the concave side called as hilus. A tube called ureter passes out of the hilus. The ureter opens into the urinary bladder. Blood enters the kidneys through renal arteries and leaves through renal veins. Each kidney is made of about 1 million functional units, which are in the form of very small tubes. These are called nephrons. The functional and structural unit of kidney is the nephron. The nephron produces urine and is the primary unit of maintaining salt balance in the body. A nephron is essentially a long tubule with a series of blood vessels. It is made up of 2 parts. They are the renal capsule and the tubule. The upper end of the tubule is an enlarged cup-like structure called the Bowman's capsule. Inside the Bowman's capsule, there is a network of very small blood vessels. This is called as glomerulus. Blood from the renal artery enters the glomerulus. The Bowman's capsule and the glomerulus are together called as Malpighian capsule. Below the Bowman's capsule, the tubule coils to form the proximal tubule, and then it follows a hairpin turn called the loop of Henle. After the loop of Henle, the tubule coils once more and moves upwards and called as the distal tubule. It then enters a collecting duct which also receives urine from other distal tubules. There are a large number of collecting tubules in the kidney. All the collecting tubules open into a funnel-like structure called pelvis. The pelvis continues as ureter. The fluid moving from the distal tubules into the collecting duct contains materials not needed by the body. This fluid is referred to as urine. Kidneys maintain the required level of salts in the blood. If the salts are more than the required limit, they are excreted. Kidneys regulate the amount of water in the body. They remove the excess water present in the body. They maintain the water balance in the body. The kidneys have very great reserve power. If one kidney is removed due to damage or disease, the other kidney takes up the function of the two kidneys. It means human being can survive with the help of one kidney.
Animals that range from unicellular to multicellular organisms whose body structures suit their function and the movements they make. Some animal movements are very beautiful. For example, an insect walking on the reverse of a leaf. The soaring of eagles and the running of the jaguar and other animals are very puzzling. Body shape of an animal and special features that each animal category possesses, like wings, skin, are the two main things that make them unique. These are the exclusive things that drive their life in tune with the nature too. Contour is nothing but the shape of the body. Observe a racehorse. Its body has been beautifully designed by nature. The body is spindle-shaped, its streamlined contour offering minimum resistance in air. The body of fish is also streamlined so that it can freely swim in the water. The nature of the flight of an aeroplane differs from that of birds, animals, and insects. Planes have fixed wings that create lift when air flows past them. They move forward by pushing air through a jet engine or around a propeller very swiftly. The wings of animals do both these jobs at once. When the wings flap downwards, the body of a bird or a bat or an insect is pushed forward and it is kept aloft and stable in its flight. Bats are the only mammals that truly fly by flapping their wings. The wing of bat is a fold of skin called patagium, supported by all digits of the hand except the first. When a bird eats insects, worms, or berries, its bill or beak helps it to get the food it wants. For most birds, bill is a special tool that has the right shape. A sparrow eats seeds it finds on the ground. Its bill helps it to pick up things easily. A heron gets its food found in water. It lifts fish out of water and swallows them. In this topic, you have learned: retina is the sensitive part of an eye. It contains two types of receptor cells, the rods and cones. Vitreous humor helps in image formation and in maintaining the spherical shape of the eye.
Excretion is the metabolic process of removal of metabolic waste from the body of an organism. Kidneys are bean-shaped organs which are located on either side of the backbone at about the level of the stomach and liver. Blood enters the kidneys through renal arteries and leaves through renal veins. Kidneys maintain the required level of salts in the blood, regulate the amount of water in the body, and maintain the water balance in the body.
Animals that range from unicellular to multicellular organisms whose body structures suit their function and the movements they make. At the end of this topic, you will be able to define homeostasis, compare aerobic and anaerobic respiration, describe the importance of metabolism, catabolism, and anabolism, discover the flight pattern of birds, discuss adaptation of bills by different birds. Homeostasis is the maintenance of a constant internal environment of the body by an organism. The concept was first described by Claude Bernard in 1857. The two important regulating mechanisms that maintain the stability of homeostasis are behavioral and physiological responses. For example, the control of blood glucose level involves several hormones. A rise in the blood glucose level stimulates the secretion of insulin, whereas a fall in the blood glucose level inhibits insulin, but stimulates the secretion of glucagon and other hormones that raise blood glucose levels. The biochemical process which occurs within cells is called cellular respiration. In this process, the chemical energy in organic molecules is released by oxidation, which is then made available to living cells in the form of ATP. If it happens in the presence of oxygen, it is referred as aerobic respiration. If it happens in the absence of oxygen, it is termed as anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration results in complete oxidation of glucose into carbon dioxide and water, utilizing free oxygen molecules as shown. C6H12O6 reacts with 6O2 to give 6CO2 plus 6H2O plus energy. Anaerobic respiration or fermentation does not utilize oxygen to release energy. Microorganisms like bacteria, yeast use anaerobic respiration for their source of ATP. C6H12O6 gives 2C2H5OH plus 2CO2 plus energy. Metabolism is a term used to describe all chemical reactions involved in maintaining the living state of the cells and the organism. Metabolism comprises of two major parts, catabolism and anabolism. Catabolism is a metabolic process that breaks down larger molecules. These complex molecules are broken down to produce energy necessary for various functions of the body. The energy is utilized for building or anabolic processes. For example, the glucose converted into carbon dioxide, water, and heat, proteins converted into amino acid, and so on. Anabolism is the constructive phase of metabolism. Anabolic reactions usually require energy. Anabolism is a process by which the body utilizes the energy released by catabolism to synthesize complex molecules. These complex molecules are then utilized to form cellular structures that are formed from small and simple precursors that act as building blocks. Example, the simple substance glucose is converted into glycogen and other sugars. Amino acid is converted into proteins. Fatty acids are converted into cholesterol and other steroids. The metabolic process helps to maintain the homeostatic conditions and the ionic balance of the body. It is responsible for movement, growth, development, maintenance, and repair of the cells, tissues in the living organism. Our body structure suits its function. The human foot, which was originally a climbing structure, has been readapted for bipedal walking and running. Some animal movements are very beautiful. Example, an insect walking on the reverse of a leaf, the soaring of eagles, and the running of the jaguar are very puzzling. Contour means shape. Horse body is spindle-shaped, streamlined contour adapted for speed. Fish have streamlined body to overcome water resistance. How do animals fly? The nature of the flight of an aeroplane differs from that of birds, animals, and insects. Planes create lift when air flows past their wings. They move forward by pushing air through a jet engine or around a propeller very swiftly. The wings of animals do both these jobs at once. When the wings flap downwards, the body of a bird or a bat or an insect is pushed forward and it is kept aloft and stable in its flight. The wing of bat is a fold of skin called patagium, supported by all digits of the hand except the first. Bats are the only mammals that truly fly by flapping their wings. Beaks have been beautifully designed by nature to suit their feeding habits. Birds have the right shape of bills or beaks. They are the most essential tool for the birds to eat insects, worms, or berries. Beak helps the birds to get the food it wants. Pelicans feed on fish which they scoop up in the flexible pouch that lies under their long beaks. A sparrow eats seeds it finds on the ground. Its bill helps it to pick up things easily and crack them. A heron gets its food found in water. It lifts fish out of water and swallows them. Thus, it has adapted its beak for fishing. In this topic, you have learnt that homeostasis is the ability of an organism to maintain a relatively stable internal environment in response to an ever-changing outside world. Cellular respiration is the process by which cells get their energy in the form of ATP. The sum of all chemical reactions within a living organism is known as metabolism. Patagium is a fold of skin from the body that extends between the foreleg and hind leg. Birds have beak to get the food that it wants and to feed their young ones.